Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we are looking at the Star Wars Black Series 6-inch KYLO REN figure. I got him and I got the girl, what's her name? I don't know, Ray I think. That's it. You guys know I'm not the biggest Star Wars person, so I'm not going to be getting all of the Black Series figures, especially if they're crazy hard to get. But I am going to get some of them, so let's take a look. This guy stands roughly about 16.5 centimeters, which makes him about 6.5 inches, and he comes with his lightsaber of questionable design. The only thing I really have a problem with, other than the functionality of it, which we're not going to talk about, is that the lightsaber part isn't particularly translucent. It's almost opaque, which makes it look a little weird. They did do some shading in the handle, which looks okay, but having the lightsaber itself not be clear does take away from it a little bit, I have to say. The figure himself, it's mostly covered in cloth. Let's see if I can hold it, which is okay. I'm not normally a fan of the mixed goods, having the cloth and the plastic, but they did a pretty good job. I like the way they sculpted this cloth up here. I like the combination of the sculpted cloth down here and then the actual patterned cloth for the cloak, or whatever you want to call it. So it looks pretty good. I don't know how I feel about the mixed goods, but this one, as far as I'm concerned, is alright. Now the hood, on the other hand, I think would have benefited from being this material, not only because they're adjacent pieces of material, so it would have looked good, but this, while they came really close to getting it to the right shape, it's just not quite there. You kind of want it down like this more. That would have looked way better, and I'm sure you can do that with some various techniques, but you wouldn't have had to if it was cloth or plastic. So, you know, it's good and bad at the same time. The good thing is you can pull it back and look at his whole helmet if you want to, which is pretty nicely detailed, but it does not quite have the right look to it otherwise. For the head, you don't get too much posability. You're mostly just going to get a little bit of a swivel out of it. You have your standard ball hinge style shoulders. You get decent enough posability. You can see the ball hinge is kind of offset, so you're not going to be able to bring the arms up too far, but you can bring them all the way down, so that's okay. And they do come all the way forward and around. You have our elbow hinge, which is about 90-degree bend, where you get your bicep swivel right there, and then for the wrist you have a vertical hinge and a swivel, and this hand can hold a lightsaber just as well as this hand. Articulation is the same across both sides. I believe we have the ball peg type of diaphragm joint in here. I can't really tell since it's covered in stuff, but you do get your swivel and you can lean them forward and back. You have the sculpted belt on top of the cloth here, which you can bring up, and it'll help for posability if you need to look in there. But we have our standard T-jointed new Marvel Legends style hips, which give you pretty good range of motion. The cloth won't really get in the way, the sculpted or the fabric cloth, so that's alright. And then you can bring them out to the side if you want to. Still not that far. We need to work on that, Hasbro. We get our thigh swivel out of there. Double jointed knee, which works just fine. And we have our standard ankle hinge. So we have the hinge and the ankle rocker. So it works pretty well. You know, it's your pretty standard Star Wars Black figure. They have a lot of nice sculpted details. Generally have a pretty decent amount of paint, although this guy is mostly just the black. I can't tell if there's shading in here or if it's just the way the plastic is done, but either way it works, so that's cool. And then we have the various finishes for the pants and the boots, so that looks pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with this guy. I think it would have been nicer if they could have gotten the blacks to match just a bit, because the cloth looks much darker than the plastic, but it still looks pretty good, and you can get him in that pose from the trailer pretty easily, so I'm happy with it and I do recommend it. Stick around here for some photos of this guy at the end, and make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see, there he goes, so you can see my upcoming figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.